Is there anybody else that wanted to come up and say a couple of words here before we close it out? Ian Underwood. Ian, come on up. Oh, and also too, we have fresh cut pineapple, I was just informed. So if you're looking for some fresh cut pineapple, you're in the right place. Ian Underwood.
Thanks. Doug Stanhope has said once, he doesn't need a big audience, he needs the right audience. I'm hoping this is the right audience. So a guy walks into his kitchen and he sees his wife cut the end off a roast and throw it away. And he says, "Why are you doing that?" She says, "Well, that's how you cook a roast. That's what my mom did." So they call up the mom and they say, "Mom, why'd you cut the end off the roast?" And she says, "Well, that's how you cook a roast. That's what my mom always did." And so they call up Grandma and say, "Grandma, why'd you always cut the end off the roast?" And she says, "Well, I always cut the end off the roast because my roaster was too small." And I love this joke because I think it explains about a third of politics and about 90% of everything that happens in schools, right? In particular, if you think about, you just do this year whatever you did last year. And you'll do next year whatever you did this year. And the thing about education is what we're mostly doing every year is fighting about money. So I have a presentation I do. I'm just going to quickly do some hand waving for some graphs. The presentation is called School Funding in 3 Graphs and 2 Jokes. You've already heard one of the jokes. The graphs basically are, it's on Granite Graph. So the first graph is one done by the Cato Institute, where it graphs spending over about 50 years, which goes like this. It triples over that time. And achievement, as measured by the NAEP test, which goes like this. So basically, tripled spending, got nothing for it. The second graph also involves the NAEP test, which is, by their own admission, the experts in education, this is how they want themselves to be tested. This is the test they devised. So you look at that graph, and what you see is some states spend around $5,000 per student, some states spend $25,000, and they get a whole range of scores on this test, none of which anybody knows what they mean. However, if you look, there's no correlation. There are states that spend the same amount, get widely different results. There are states that spend widely different amounts of money and get the same results. The third graph is very New Hampshire centric. If you look at it, it shows you in inflation adjusted dollars what every district spent. And then above that is what they're spending now. So that's in 1998 before the Claremont decision. And then you see what they're spending now. And the interesting thing is you can draw a line between those 2 graphs. And what it means is in inflation-adjusted dollars, every district right now is spending more than even the richest districts were spending before. Every district in New Hampshire is a rich district, and yet nothing's actually happened in terms of achievement, which leads us to the second joke, which is guy is crawling around in the street under a lamppost. He's looking for something. A cop comes by, goes, "What are you looking for?" He says, "I lost my keys." So the cop starts helping him look. And at some point he says, "Are you sure you lost your keys here?" And he says, "No, I lost them over in the park." And the guy says, "Why are you looking here?" He's like, "Well, the light's better here," right? And this to me is a summary of school funding in New Hampshire. And the issue, as Keith said, education's a battleground. The message that I want people to understand is, money is the lamppost of education. As long as we keep focusing and obsessing and talking about money and thinking about who should pay what taxes and what tax rates there should be, we're not actually going to find the keys, because the keys are somewhere else, okay? And so the point I want to leave you with is, if the conversation is about money, if you find yourself talking about a tax rate or whether some grant should be extended or cut off, or you should talk about who should be paying what, you've lost. You've already lost. You cannot have that conversation. That battlefield has to be changed to one where we stop talking about money and we start talking about why kids do and don't learn and what we might do about that. So that's really all I had. Thank you. So there's a bunch of stuff that we put together at a site called schoolfundingshellgame.org, and I invite you to go take a look at it.
Thank you, Ian.
Rock TV.